Yeah, yep, I'll come back for it. And I'll place that in the Italiano room, so when we switch, you're all good.
It's really cold. I did go to the gym this morning. I've been trying to more frequently go, just making it a fun adventure. So I felt like I was in Frozen. You know, in the beginning scene where they're singing with the ice. That's how I felt. Then I had like a little breakfast sandwich and a bunch of water, and then I went over to Capella and grabbed everything that I needed to, and now I'm here and we're all set and ready to go. I feel a lot more confident than I did the fall semester, so I think it really is just going to go well. We have all of our forms that we're going to pass out. The rooms are all set up. I have a coffee, which is important. And I'm just really excited. So the process for the first rehearsal of each new semester is I will arrive an hour before. Before what? Anything. So we have a meeting that will be happening as well, because we have this new project that we're going to be discussing with them, but also new students that have auditioned for this semester. So we'll be having this meeting, and so I will be arriving 1 hour before that so I can set up each of the rooms for Philharmonic and Italiano as well. And so then once we start that meeting, that always happens, or not always, it will happen about 30 minutes before rehearsal actually starts. And so then I hope to be all set with my things so I can calmly address all of the parents and answer any of the questions that they have. And so that meeting will look like Mark, Zach, and I will be up at the front, going through the handbook, going through anything that we need to go through with the new students or the students about this project. And then they will all go off into rehearsal and start with their folders just neatly placed on their stands and ready to go. So it's mostly the first 30 minutes or so that's the most active. And then I'll get to sit down and start planning for what comes next.
I generally try to pick music that's good for the instrumentation that we have, because I don't want to pick music that's heavy on a particular instrument that we don't even have, or an instrument that or instrumentation of maybe I may not have the strongest woodwind section or his strongest flute section in particular, or strongest cello section, or whatever section that might be. I don't want to pick music that is very heavy on that section right away. I want to give them something that they can do and that they can feel good about, but also that features maybe the stronger sections of the orchestra. That's one of the aspects I think of a lot when I'm picking music. Also, am I giving the music giving enough variation for kids? Whether it's enough challenge, is it doable, is it within their range of ability? That's definitely a lot harder when it comes to intermediate music, like the Philharmonic Orchestra. That's a challenge to find just the right music for it, because there's a big leap between that music and the music that we do for Italiano sometimes, where it's more classical music that hasn't been arranged. There's very few arrangements that we do. A lot of them are originals. So the music is, you know, kind of more of a leap up than a step up sometimes. So I find it a little bit easier to find the music for Italiano that way compared to the Philharmonic Orchestra, which was a little bit more challenging. But I mean, I always want to look for something that I also want to find something that I like to conduct. You know, if I don't have the passion to put into it, to teach it and to go through it with the orchestra, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to be like, well, he's not really into this music, so why should we really be into it? So I like to pick music that I'm into as well, and most of the time, you know, it works out really well. The students enjoy that too. I mean, you can't appeal to everyone's desires and fancies, or preferences, but most of the time the kids find at least a couple of pieces in there that they really gravitate towards. If I'm lucky, they like most of them.
So I spend time before the season starts helping to stuff music into the folders. I'm also I'm running the board meetings that we have. Our hopes is to make sure that the whole entire board is able to help to give the best experience possible for the directors and the musicians.
Yeah, so for Philharmonic, they're mostly like a middle school-ish aged group, right? So an intermediate group of students. We have some students that are quite young, some students that are a little older, all tackling music that's probably a little more challenging than what they're seeing in school. And so from my background as a string teacher, I can really hone in on looking at the parts, looking at each instrument's range and kind of what concepts we're encountering. So just on an intellectual level, I can find things that are developmentally appropriate for the ensemble. Additionally, you want to look for good literature. With classical music, there's 500 years of written down orchestral music to work with, or music that can be used for orchestra. So we have a lot of stuff to look through. Not all of it's great. Not all of the arrangements are great for school groups, but finding high quality literature that's developmentally appropriate and, as a bonus, enjoyable. So I spend a lot of time listening to music. I spend a lot of time playing through the individual parts. So as a string player, I can plop down and play through the violin part. I can play through the viola part, the cello part, and the bass part, and give myself a sense of like, okay, if I was in the student shoes, would I be motivated by this? Would this be challenging, but challenging in a way that makes me want to buckle down and learn this piece of music? Not so challenging that I become apathetic, but also not so simple that they can learn it in 2 weeks and then they're over it. And so I think that blend of high quality literature, challenging but approachable, developmentally appropriate music, and of course, music that we like listening to. It all goes into that process. It's very free form, kind of just seeing what we have to. I mean, there's some logistical things too, right? If we bought concerts worth of music every semester, that's a big bill, and then finding places to store that music, and it just becomes a thing. So I'm, especially in these early stages, trying to go back and see what's been used in the past, go back and see what maybe has gotten some repeat usage, what's been popular, just see what's in the files and see if I can draw on that. And because there are some hidden gems amongst all of the chaff of literature we have.
It was really good. I really enjoyed the music. Yeah, I really liked our repertoire this year. There were a couple songs, especially the higher notes, that I definitely need to look further into and like write theories down.
freestyle.
I would agree with that. With looking over the key signatures is always something you have to work on after the first rehearsal.
First rehearsal went really well. I'm extremely proud of these students and their ability to turn forms in on time. So I am just really looking forward to next week. We have sectionals, and so that'll be a little bit more hectic, with just making sure that all of the students go to the right rooms and introducing them to our coaches as well, but it'll be good.
So before the rehearsal starts, our personnel manager, with the help of some board members, help set up the rooms for the coaching, which takes place around the school. So they have rooms for every single instrument that the orchestra has. So it's usually at least eight different rooms. And since there's two orchestras happening, there's one rehearsal going on while the other ensemble, the other orchestra, is in sectionals. So at the beginning of rehearsal, the Italiano orchestra is in sectionals while the Philharmonic orchestra is rehearsing. So after about 45 minutes, then they flip. So the Philharmonic goes into sectionals for another 45 minutes, and then the orchestra for Italiano is rehearsing for the remainder of the time. When the 45 minutes is up for Philharmonic, they rehearse for the last 30 minutes of rehearsal. So.
That's it, Dennis. Can we go back? Yeah, this is going to be a little odd with the parts we're missing. Could we go back to 49 so we can catch 57? 57 is kind of like a wind thing. Sans all the winds we're missing. Yep, it's okay. You just play your part. I'll piece it together in my head and transmit it all to you. Here we go. It'll be beautiful. 49 pickups. Actually, right on 49. Right on 49. 1 and 2.
I think it is a really, I wish there was something like this when I was in high school, because I played in like an upper level wind ensemble, like group out, like it's an extracurricular, but I wasn't able to play in an orchestra until college, and I personally prefer it more than wind ensemble. so I think just being able to have that experience, being offered that experience when you're in high school is just so important to be able to for their growth as musicians.
We get to have professionals come in from their specialists in each instrument that know the ins and outs of every particular instrument or every excerpt of every piece. So they get to have that expertise with those students and really have a much smaller, more focused lesson, just working on those little parts. So when they come back to the full orchestra, they feel more confident with their ensemble experience, and then they can play those parts more confidently and ready to go for a concert.
Yep, we will be coming back one time in February and one time in March as well.
Okay.
These pieces, they are always wonderful choices. They challenge the ensembles, and this is the first time that I've experienced the transition of a conductor into Italiano, even though I've worked with Mark before. So it's interesting to see his choices and his approach in Italiano as opposed to Philharmonic.
Over the past 5 to 6 years has been something that's really been a blessing, just because I've been able to see young students start out in somewhere like Philharmonic and work themselves up to Italiano is something that's really nice to see, as well as getting out of LYSO, getting out of LYSO altogether, and then moving on to college and seeing him do great things there is something that I've always enjoyed watching over the years.
I thought sectionals went pretty well. We'll see next week at rehearsal when we have the whole time together and can look at everything just to see how that went. But the students I had in sectionals, the base sectionals, went pretty well. We were able to get a lot of work done in a pretty short period of time, and I think they'll be better equipped for next week. We're a week beyond the first rehearsal, so we're not sight reading anymore. Hopefully the students have spent some time practicing. We're able to dive in and be a little more detail oriented, but still early on here, the product is certainly rough, and we're like sculpting, starting with that big block of stone and starting to carve away. And we're still a long ways away, but certainly on the right track.
Well, this part of the season, since I've already done one part of the season with them, I know who my students are and I know their capabilities. I have a better understanding of what music selection I can choose and reasonably understand that they're going to do well with it. And plus also you want to be able to challenge them more on their second concert. You want to see that growth too, from one concert to the next.
Yeah, now that we're here at our third rehearsal, we're starting to get a little pickier in things in rehearsal. This week I really want to iron out the Sammartini Symphony we're playing. That piece is a 3-movement piece. The piece is written out in 4, but I'm conducting it in 2. So helping these students kind of get past that discrepancy between what they're seeing me do and what they need to be counting, or how to count that into. So we're working on that today. Hopefully we have enough people here today to get some meaningful work done. I think illness is starting to go around again, and so I think we have quite a few people that are going to be gone today because of that. But yeah, today I'd really like to get into the Pink Panther. There's a section in the end where we modulate to a key that is not super friendly for most of the instruments in the group. So we'll take some time and kind of break that apart and put it back together at the end, and hopefully it'll be perfect.
A lesson that I learned is that communication, which is my major, is essential. Making sure that you have everyone's email, phone number, like everyone's email, and like your student's grandmother even, like, because there will be times that people just aren't able to realize that they did see an email, or they're so busy with their own life that they miss it, which is totally understandable. And I mean, and so communication is probably the most important thing and the most complicated thing for this organization. Making sure you're not sending too many emails, making sure you're sending enough emails with the correct information and enough information so that people know what's going on, but they don't have to email you asking what's going on. And so it's a fine line that I'm still fine-tuning.
So we'll take it from the top one to start with here. So timpani, use a little bit harder mallet. Do you have general? Yeah, great, awesome. Those are great actually for what we're needed for. So nice fortissimo, sforzando at the beginning, and then immediately down to pianissimo, but try to be as clear as you can. So a little bit farther away with the mallets so you get a little bit clearer tone. Okay, here we go, beginning. 2, 3.
My name is Lennon, and I'm a second violin in the Philharmonic.
My name's Waylon. I'm a cello in the Italiano.
Is there anything that you've been kind of focusing on more yourself playing?
Just listening to other people, because if you listen to other people, then it's easier to hear it's just easier to stay with everybody.
Just tonal quality mainly. So like bow placement, bow speed, and like getting every note to sound the way it should.
Is there any piece of music that you enjoy the most?
Probably Symphonic Dance. That one's fun.
Why is that?
Probably because there are some really fast parts that aren't too complicated, but they're still fast enough.
I really like the Elgar Nimrod variations, the Enigma variations. It's just like lush chords that work well together. It sounds pretty.
I mean, the exciting part is the challenge of, playing more and teaching more challenging music. That aspect of it was very exciting. I'm a middle school music teacher now, so working with primarily high schoolers in the Italiano orchestras was exciting, different. Not better, just exciting, because I really enjoy working with middle school students as well. But it's definitely really fun to be able to put really challenging and even sometimes original or classical works that aren't arranged for younger orchestras in front of students and be able to play that with them. I mean, that's the part I want to focus on the most, is making sure that the kids are getting their taking their sacrifice of time on their weekends to come out and play and making it worth their while, and that they're learning something and that they enjoy what they're doing. So that's the heavy responsibility that I feel.
I think this rehearsal went well as far as just like starting to get closer to playing through some of the pieces. Wasn't perfect, but it never will be either. But we were in the right direction with a few pieces. The Sorcerer's Apprentice just took up a lot of bandwidth today and took a lot of thinking. But I think that was investment that will pay off later. So I feel okay about that. It was tedious, but we got there. This program is challenging for this group. I think maybe there's a little too much that's all difficult. I would say like the cumulative difficulty is quite high for them, whereas if we bit off any one of these pieces with a simpler program otherwise, it wouldn't be such a stretch. It'd be a stretch, but it wouldn't be quite so much. Whereas having 4 pieces that all have challenges is creating kind of this cumulative effect. And I think I have some students that are feeling kind of overwhelmed by that. So we may need to pivot, but next week would be like illuminating that. And so I might need to see about maybe putting something else in the wings or considering to just remove a piece from the program. But next week will tell. Like last week, we were missing quite a few people, so kind of a bummer in that regard, but we made it happen.
I think that it's such a valuable institution, if you would call it that, to have in our community, especially for the kids, like my kids, who don't have a school orchestra. It is such a gift for them to be able to experience playing in an orchestra, because so much of what we do is by ourselves. And so being able to meet other kids who are doing the same thing and do it together, it's sort of like the equivalent of being able to play on a team. And I think that that is something that sometimes can get lost when we're doing music, and it doesn't mean that it's not fulfilling and wonderful, but this just is kind of like the icing on the cake when you get to do it with other people. So, yeah.
not just playing the right notes and rhythms. Now, how do we make it interesting? How do we make music? What does that even mean? And so that's where my job as the director, my job is not to explicitly show every player how to play their part. That's their job. And that's their responsibility to have brought their expertise as a young musician and to go home and learn their part. My job, and of course I'm a resource. I don't mean to say that in a way like I will not help you learn your part, but hopefully the students can woodshed the bulk of that on their own. So that then when we come together, I can really help dial in on those challenging places, the trouble spots. And once we get all of that worked out, we have that concept now of like, I get to help them craft this into a piece of music. And I think that's really my favorite part of the process. It's like, okay, well, what if we try making this section louder? Or what if we try playing this at a slightly different pace? What if we play this a little faster, a little slower? What if I don't have someone play here, but there are endless possibilities. And that's what makes music fun. And that's why I like live music so much. I love recorded music too, don't get me wrong. I love sitting down and listening to great recordings of the past, or I have a collection of jazz albums I enjoy sitting back and listening to. But that is one moment in time that's then preserved forever. So then if you go see Guns N' Roses play, they play their guitar solos the same way night after night. Those audiences are looking for the nostalgia of a recording being performed live. What we get is the immediacy, the momentary live music experience. What we create will never happen again. And I think there's something really special about that. You never know what's going to happen going into a concert. You bring your own interpretation. Every player in that orchestra has to craft their part, and we do it one time. And so having all of that to be put together, rehearsed, and made into something is just, it's like the best feeling in the world to like have that product put out there. It's also really amazing to know that like we have to be so present in that moment and enjoy that because it's gone, right? We can record it. It's 2024. We can record things, of course, and we will be recording things, but I don't spend a whole lot of my time going back and listening to concerts that I've been in because for me, those memories, that feeling it evoked, that's what's really important to me.
So clarinet, are you at least able to hold that out all the way to B2 there? Yeah. It did crescendo a little bit too much and I kind of lost you. Cello, make sure that you're off on B1. The tie over the bar line is more of like
The students know the expectations and they're connecting with each other too. So some that are in different high schools or middle schools are getting to know each other, which is great because they've got to rely on each other musically too and trust each other to do their, play their piece as such. So they build that rapport as well, which I think is really important and really strong for music.
I really like the Firebird.
Why is that?
It's fast and kind of abrasive, which lends itself well to the trombone.
I like the Stravinsky because it's hard, but it's not too hard. It gives like a nice challenge while also being fun.
Symphonic dance, the 16th notes got better. It was more smooth, I think. And I think we were together more. I think we need to speed up a bit because we're stuck at the tempo he had us practicing with, which was a bit slower than what he wants us to get. So we need to get like faster.
I think Panther definitely is the most challenging for me while also being the most fun to play. The Panther has this like hard solo part for the trumpet that's really hard to play sometimes, but it's also really fun. It sounds good, it's jazzy, it's good groove to it.
In one of our songs, we play on offbeats, so it's like the basses and then the clarinets and the winds and go on and off. And offbeats are really hard to play on because you end up switching onto the onbeats by automatic because you're so used to counting in that. And then you have to separate and go on and off, and that's definitely one of the harder parts, but you just have to learn how to count like that.
The big thing we'll spend a lot of time on is still the cello concerto, putting that together. Since we're a couple of rehearsals behind it, since they haven't had the music as long as they had for the other pieces, so it's all about trying to get the kinks out of the cello concerto parts and syncing them up with the soloist. So, and then a lot of stuff with the Stravinsky, working on that. There's a lot of things that are just not coming out with that. There's some stuff on the strings that coordinate with the flutes and oboe parts that don't always connect. They're not quite synced up because they're supposed to, and it's when flutes are playing but the strings are pizzicato, so they have to be aware of how the different approach to the sound is going to affect the reaction to it. So we need to work on that to get that to sound connected. So
in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, there's just a lot of intricate counting that needs to happen. And because of the way the piece is scored, it's very sparsely scored. So oftentimes in orchestral music, if the violins are playing something, it's echoed somewhere else, and vice versa. If the horns have something, the violas have it or whatever. But in this arrangement, it's very sparse. So when the basses have something or the violins have something, it's just them. So they have to really count carefully and be independent and play off of each other. Otherwise, they'll inadvertently play where they shouldn't or be late or whatever.
The Firebird suite with the Stravinsky is just a viciously challenging piece, both in terms of individual playing and putting the whole thing together with strings and low brass and woodwinds and percussion. Just bringing all those different pieces together with any Stravinsky piece is always a real challenge. So I think that's probably where we'll hone in on for a good bit today.
On a scale, I feel like, well, if we're starting, say, like at 0 for the first coaching, then I'd say they've jumped up like a 4 or 5, like, improvement wise, and our goal is 10, so there's still a lot of work to do.
Nice
but I think, I think they put in some work, and hopefully now they have more, kind of stuff to chew on that they can take home and work on more.
I think one of the things that young people struggle with the most when they're put in a setting like this is just having the confidence to really let their voice come out of the texture when it needs to. What they hear back here is not really what's going to be coming out to the audience's ear. They have to play with a little bit of a different kind of projection, even when they're playing soft passages and so forth, and understanding the difference between a solo piano and a section piano, when they're in a tutti section or they're not the main event happening. So it's really just about developing some of those more finesse aspects of playing in an ensemble and having the confidence to be able to deliver those in the context of what's going on around them.
I think just how I feel about the music, really. When I first started, I was like, oh, this music is kind of strange. Like the Stravinsky, the Firebird, I was like, what is that? Like, it's just a very odd piece, but I've really grown to love it. And all the music, really. It's been, I just feel like as I've played it more and with everyone else around me, it's all really come together in a great way, and I really like the sound of it. First rehearsal now. I think the confidence has really improved among everyone. Before, for like all like the little parts or like solos, everyone was very nervous. I know I was really nervous like coming into some parts. So I think over the rehearsals we've all gained a lot of confidence and courage to play out and really have that confidence to play our parts. I'm really careful about just playing everything like on time, rhythms accurately, so I'm really going to focus on that over the next week for our concert.
Last semester we had some random logistical challenges just with all of our new personnel getting things, all of our new staff members getting everything set, getting everything sorted out. We had some growing pains, I guess, in that regard. This semester, that's all been really smooth, really excellent. So now I may have overprogrammed a little bit, and we're working through that, and the kids are doing a really nice job, so I really don't want to pull anything like off their plate because I think that would be a disservice to them. But also, it's that, like, I think it'll all be great. I think the challenge is really just some of this music is hard, and so I'm learning through that experience, learning what I can and cannot program, and for the students, they're really growing through the challenge, for better or for worse. These timpani mallets could use a little love.
How many have to replace timpani mallets?
I feel really good. The first semester that we had this last fall was insane, just with the amount of switches in personnel that we had. So myself, Zach Mayer coming in as the Philharmonic conductor, and Mark Pomplin coming in from his role as the Philharmonic conductor into Italiano, and having a new board president and all of that. We had none of that this semester. So it was just getting reacclimated to the students and finally feeling comfortable in our roles, at least personally. And so the students are then more connected to me and will remember my name, hopefully. And yeah, so I just overall feel really good about this semester. The testament of our work will be going on next Sunday, and so that is the behemoth that we are preparing for. And so my role in all of this is making sure that we have the space and all the chairs and stands and everything physical that the musicians need to be successful for their concert.
Well, that's a easy question. I mean, it's just night and day. I mean, first rehearsal, they're just scrambling to get notes and rhythms, and this one is just refinement and putting everything together and getting it all to be really cohesive and really comfortable. So you want to get to that point where when you perform it, you're still not chasing notes or rhythms. You want to get to that point where you're enjoying playing with the group, and it's not such a stressful thing. It's more of an enjoyment. So if we're at that point where we were today, where it's just kind of putting things together and running through it and just making it feel comfortable, that's where we want to be. I never want to go into that last rehearsal, or when I'm done with that last rehearsal going into the concert, it's like, I don't know how this is going to be, but I feel like with this concert, I feel like it's going to be really cohesive. Everything's going to be really great. I guess the only one that I'm a little bit I wouldn't say unsure of, but I would say the one that has the most room for error is probably the Concerto, just lining it up with the soloist and the orchestra. And a lot of that is just my part, actually, is just making sure that I'm really connected with what the soloist is doing and what the orchestra is doing. So I'm kind of like the medium between
the soloist in the orchestra. So he's playing and the orchestra is playing, but I'm the one that's supposed to be putting the glue together. But other than that, I think all the other pieces will line up wonderfully.
So I set up all of the chairs and stands, so I get to put my little trademark on those. But also, with the help of our graphic designer, putting together the program book and getting everything organized to send off to her so that she's able to do the fantastic job that she does. She's not able to be here because she plays in like an Irish band, and today's St. Patrick's Day, so she's a little busy. And then, yeah, just getting to make sure that everyone is where they need to be. So just those couple of things. Mostly it is all students, which is awesome.
Oh, the Sammartini Symphony in D major. It's like the fourth fingers on like for the D. I have to do like the vibrato. It's kind of hard for me. So yeah.
Is that something that you learned this summer, or something that you just kind of had to work more on?
Just something I had to work more on.
Just like solidifying dynamics. We pretty much know all the notes, but like, there's a difference between like making it, just playing notes and then actually making it music.
Right now, I am feeling a little frazzled. Just trying to get all of my stuff ready. Now that since I'm playing with Italiano for the concert, I'll be in their rehearsal, then we'll go to my rehearsal, and then we'll have a little break for the concert. Then I'm on to the end, so kind of an extra full day, but that's all good. I think it'll all be fabulous. I think it'll be a great concert this afternoon.
Let's go. Just kind of really the anticipation of it all, the excitement, and just couldn't wait to get up on stage and start playing. And I look forward to it. It just also in the back of my mind is making sure all the logistical things go well, and just all that aspect of it. I mean, I'm not much of a talker in front of a large group, which is kind of surprising. Most people think of conductors, they think of very outgoing personalities, but that's really not me. In front of a group of like an orchestra or a band, I'm perfectly comfortable. But talking in front of a large group about the orchestra or doing program notes or anything like that, public speaking, not the most comfortable, but I'm not super uncomfortable about doing it. It's just not something I love doing. But I've grown to accept it and just do it, and always make sure I kind of stay on script when I do it. But that's the other part of it that's in the back of my mind. But most of it is just making sure that everyone's going to have a good time and that everyone has what they need, and we're ready to go.
It went really well. Super smooth. The music was amazing, and we got everything set up in between, so it was a seamless motion from all of the students and their parents and families. So I don't think it could have gone better.
I think it was very successful. Yeah, it felt very comfortable, and we did a great job overall.
And tired. But generally I'm very happy with the way the program went. There was a few things that had went awry that had never happened before, but that's just the reality of a live performance, is things happen that you don't expect, and things that you didn't know were going to happen, and then you just kind of have to go on the fly and move forward. So, and that's part of anything that you do with live performances. You just have to kind of roll with the punches, and it helps you grow too. So, I mean, I'm just really proud of the students, that all the hard work they put in, paid off, and they're happy. I just want them to be happy. That's what I'm hoping, that they come out of it, like they don't leave the performance disappointed or anything like that, that they're happy with it. So.
Okay, so my favorite part of the concert was the concerto competition and hearing Keaton play. It was a phenomenal solo that he played, and that was just rewarding and amazing to see the talent that is within this group, and just have the students support each other like that. That was my favorite part.
I've been to youth orchestra concerts before, and so one kind of gets ready for however it's going to be, and it's pretty good, I must say. Very good. I'm inspired. I think these kids are, they hang together, become friends over so many years. I have a couple of students that play in the orchestra, and it's wonderful. Wonderful.
I was really interested to see the growth of the students, especially, coming in as his second year in LYSO and other newbies. I've seen the growth from practice to the final concert. So I think that was like my interest in coming into the spring concert of the Crosse Youth Symphony.
It's obvious that the students are really talented, and we're always excited to come and listen to these concerts, because the students, you can see they put a lot of work in it, and they sound really great. Especially the solo today, right?
The solo
was amazing. Like he was playing. I can just see Santi surrounding. He played it with
he's real good.
With
He's
notes,
really
right? And it sounded really great. Yeah, and we were not disappointed. It was amazing.
Always amazing.
Always amazing.
I am tired.
He said the same thing.
I'm good, but I'm tired. I think Sorcerer's Apprentice went really well. I was a little apprehensive even after our dress rehearsal today, but things worked out for the best. No, it went really well. It was a good concert, but now it's time to clean up and go home.
On our way here, we were really excited because it's our first time. It's my son's. This is Emmanuel. It's his first year in LYSO. We didn't know what to expect, but we know that he has been working hard, so we are proud of him to be here, and we're proud of all the kids who are involved in this concert. We were just excited just to be here right now. We are overwhelmed and so proud of each and every one of the kids here.
I think probably Nimrod by Edward Elgar, of course. I've heard it many times over the years of me playing violin. And it's always great to play something that you've always heard but haven't gotten the chance to play. Also, it's a really emotional and kind of dramatic piece. It sounds fantastic, and I'm glad we were able to play it and pull it off with the greatness that we did.
I think it went really well. The musicians, they were here on time, they were ready to go. They were nervous, as you would expect. Both Mark and Zach were phenomenal. They did really well. The audience loved the concert. It was by far a success, and bringing back the social with the cookies and bars and having people kind of congregate and celebrate the concert and the work that the musicians have done is fantastic. A lot of support around the community.
Well, we were here in the fall, so we at least knew what to expect. And my daughter plays the flute,
So it was an interesting experience hearing the strings be kind of front and center as opposed to the flute and the concert band. So we really enjoyed this experience and enjoyed hearing the strings and the cellos and all of that. And I just really enjoyed the concert.
As she said, the same. And also what I appreciate is that LYSO provides experiences for students that don't necessarily get that in their home schools. And so this has really broadened Brooklyn's horizons in different literature, meeting different students, and just hearing what this age group of students can do together as a collective. It's amazing, the musicianship. So it's been wonderful for me to follow her to different organizations that she's played with and appreciate the opportunity that she's had to do that.
Cookies are always good to have at the end of a concert. At least some treat. I'm a treat person, you know? That's what I like. So they got some treats.
A couple of these kids have just not been in orchestra before. I mean, they've taken lessons at their school, but they've never been in a big group like this before, so just kind of overwhelming hearing all the other parts and learning to listen to each other. You know, let the strong leaders in the front of the section help you, you know, and follow them, and just believe that you can learn it. And just the whole mindset that if you make a mistake, don't stop and just keep going. You know, it's everybody makes mistakes, but you just have to have the right attitude that I'm going to keep going and I'm going to get it and I'm going to keep working on it and it's going to get better, and it has. Yeah.
Oh, it gives me an opportunity to have orchestra experience, and I mean, I'm just like playing outside of school as well. So.
Totally. Is there any piece right now for the concert that you like the most?
Let me see. Probably Enigma variations. I mean, I like how it's like it gives us something different from like the fast tempo stuff, you know. And I've played it before in my school's wind ensemble. So.
The Algar.
Why the Algar?
It's just such a beautiful piece. I've heard it in concert before too, so it was really special hearing the whole thing as well, and I've really loved it ever since.
My name is Ezekiel and I've played it.
And how long have you been playing in LYSO?
I've been in myself for 2 years.
Why do you play in LYSO?
I just wanted to be with a group of like-minded people who also like to play music.
I think this is my 5th year and my 2nd year in Italiano.
What is your favorite piece that you're playing currently?
I think I like Nimrod just because it's nice to listen to.
I have to look.
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite piece that we're playing right now is the Stravinsky.
Why Stravinsky?
Because it sounds cool and it's fun to play, and the violas get an interesting part.
I thought that I could definitely do some work on most of these pieces. First time seeing it, I guess it's, of course, you're always going to have to do some work, but it's still really fun.
Nice. If there's anything you'd want to work on in particular for the next rehearsal, what would that be?
So much. A lot of music. I'd say maybe another one in the band room. Most of my music.
Okay, fair enough. Any final thoughts or comments just on the first rehearsal?
It was fun. There were people I did recognize.
How are you feeling about the first year?
Well, I played. I was just playing a few units ago here for first year, and it's exciting. I enjoy it, although it's kind of stressful because the music's pretty difficult.
What was your favorite piece to play during the concert?
I like Slavonic dance.
Why the Slavonic dance?
Because like I felt like I had the melody, and I was important.
Hi, my name is Ali Schlicht. I am a former LYSO member and a current substitute coach. As a LYSO student, I mean, LYSO was just a wonderful place. Every Sunday we got to go and we got to play music, meet friends, make friends, and just learn a lot from a lot of really talented musicians and join this community of people who are just really passionate about music.
LYSO in general is a fantastic opportunity for any students who love music to continue doing music outside of school. I remember doing it in my high school and it grew my skills and my techniques 1,000%. I would not have had nearly as much fun when I got to college if I didn't know half of the things that I learned outside of school in my own youth symphony. It's quite fun and the people are great to be around, and overall it's a really fantastic experience.
Yeah, I think it's great being able to come in and work with kids that I don't normally see. Again, being a teacher myself, these are students that I don't see in my own classroom, so it's nice to be able to see kind of what's going out throughout the whole region and not just within my own school, and see kind of the progress that they've been making. This is my first year back, but I was also coaching a few years ago also, and recognizing some of those kids when they were in the younger group and now their progression up to the older group now. It's been really nice to see.
I do feel like a lot of the students with their music, a lot of them are going to go on to play beyond, high school. A lot of them are going to play in college orchestras. So I mean, if you read, we have the bios for all the students that are graduating in our program. Pretty much all of them, they're not going to be professional musicians, or not all of them are going to be educators in music, but that's totally fine. But they're going to keep playing, which is like the main goal. We want our students to never stop playing, which is the great thing about learning a musical instrument. You never have to stop.